If you're new to our channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.
Now back to the Wisconsin Vegetable Garden Radio Show with your hosts, Joey and Hallie Baird.
Always happy when we have callers call in with their garden questions. Let's go to the IB Organics 3-in-1 Plant Guard hotline. Caller, you are on the air. Caller, go ahead.
First question I had is, are newspapers a good mulch for around your vegetable plants?
Absolutely. Newspapers, just as long as you don't get the glossy kind, the inserts from your the inside of the paper, that just traditional newspaper is fine. It's got a soy-based ink, so it's organic. You don't have to worry about any toxicity for that.
Okay. And the other one I had is, I started doing it last year, but I used boiling water to kill off the weeds.
That definitely will work. When I was growing up on the farm, when we did canning, water bath canning, we'd use that hot water. Once we got done, we'd take it out and pour it in the cracks on the sidewalk or along the perimeter or wherever we had weeds that we wanted to kill. It works great. Scolds the plants and very good organic means of weed control.
Because years ago, I knew a farmer that was selling vegetables at West Dallas Farmers Market. Well, he used to get his soil in by the truckload, and then he had a boiler.
Mm-hmm.
And what he would do is throw a hose of steam underneath the soil before he planted any seedlings into that. And I'm thinking, well, how can a home gardener do something like that, to make your soil so it doesn't have weed seeds in it?
Right, just a proper composting method of heating the internal portion of that compost pile up will kill those weed seeds without any problem at all. Or putting a pile of compost and putting black plastic over top of it over the summer, and it will bake that compost and kill any viable weed seeds.
Okay, and I had one other question. Last year, about May, I got garlic seeds or cloves,
mm-hmm.
and I planted them, and then I marked each one with a golf tee to see if any of them came up. And so far this year, out of maybe 28 pieces of clove in the garden, none of them came up.
Could be, where did you get the cloves or the garlic from? The farmer's market or the grocery store?
Stein's.
Okay. Could be just a bad batch. It could be the way it was handled. It could be a variety of different ways in which the seed was not viable in order to grow them.
Okay. Now, you planted them this spring, right?
Yeah, we did some spring garlic, just experimental process, but we traditionally plant the first Saturday in October and harvest the last week in June.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Bye now.
And you're always welcome to send us an email of your problem at TWVGshow@gmail.com. And if you're able to, please attach a photograph of the issue and describe it as well, so our identification and answer is much easier. We can figure out what's going on. How do I control bugs and mites on my hollyhock plant? Well, hollyhocks are a drought-tolerant plant that is a biannual or short-lived perennial that generally reseeds itself and has multiple clusters of plants after it reseeds, but there are bugs that come in and take care of those clusters at times, leaving the plant injured, and the leaves fall off, and it can also kill the plant. So it's not always the best situation there. So spider mites are one of the problems. They're Japanese beetles as well, and that can be controlled by insecticides and sprays. Also, just putting the pheromone trap far away from the plant and enticing the Japanese beetles to go in that direction, not at the plants in which they're destroying. Spider mites there's several different kinds of spider mites that the hollyhock plant can attract or have problems with. You can see tiny webbing underneath it. You can also see flecking of the leaves or spots, yellow spots on the leaves, and premature leaf drop is also. Mites are small and very hard to see just by looking at it. They prefer the hot, dry conditions of summer. Based on the year, we may or may not have that They produce that very fine webbing. To control the spider mites, here's a couple of things in which you can do. One, avoid over-fertilization. That's one of them. And then, if possible, we can't really control the weather. You can knock the mites off with vigorous spraying of water. You can use insecticides, but the problem, or chemicals. But the problem that I would warn you with that is these chemicals that are designed to kill, in this instance, the spider mites, is not designed to avoid the beneficial insects that you have in your environment, in your backyard. These are non-selective. They're going to kill anything that is designed for that species, whether it's soft-bodied or flying insects, whatever. It's going to kill all of them. Now, with the tomatoes, when we deal with spider mites, well, it's a method that we do before the problem exists, is we take 2 tablespoons of liquid seaweed to 1 gallon of water, and we spray the plants every 2 to 3 weeks. And that toughens the leaves on the tomato plants, and it doesn't kill the spider mites, but it causes them to go elsewhere because they can't chew into the leaves. I'm not for sure the leaf structure of a hollyhock plant, and I don't know if that would work or not, but it's something that could be experimented with. But so that's how you can deal with the spider mites or bugs on your hollyhock plant. I have Creeping Charlie in my garden. Can you help me? What do I do to get rid of it? Well, number one, Creeping Charlie is a problem in our garden as well. Creeping Charlie is edible. It's considered a wild food. It's part of the mint family. It has a peppery taste. If you're going to eat it, you want to properly identify it and eat it as a young plant. What occurs is it will root underground and pop back up, much like you would see a raspberry cane do. It goes to certain places underground and pops up, so it's very hard to control it. So if you have it in your garden, one, you can continue to pull it out and try to stress the plant out that way. BioSafe does work in killing the plant. It may not kill the roots that it propagates from under the soil, but it will kill the vegetation on top, and you can continue to apply that application of BioSafe until you basically stress the plant out or weaken it to the point where it doesn't come back. Now that can take some time. You can use very harsh chemicals to purge the beds of it or your garden with it, but then you've got that toxicity in your soil. Another way, or the easiest way, is if you sacrifice an area of your garden, 10 foot by 4 foot area, whatever the case is, and cover it with black plastic for the summer. Hold the plastic down with logs or bricks or whatever. What you're doing is allowing the radiation of the sun to intensely bake the soil underneath that black plastic. And you can get your black plastic from your local hardware store. And you're baking the soil. You're baking all the viable weed seeds. You're baking all the vegetation that's underneath there. And basically cleansing the bed of the problem. Now, if you go deep enough in the soil, there are weed seeds that can stay dormant up to 80 years. So once you remove that plastic, the microbial life is gone until you revitalize the soil with compost, manure tea, compost tea, coffee grounds, that type of thing. You can work it back in the soil, but you may kick up some of those weed seeds. But the predominant problem of Creeping Charlie will be eradicated. The only problem is it can come in from adjacent areas of your garden. So keep that in mind. But that is one way to get rid of it. Thank you for checking out the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener radio show. For more, go to the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com for full-length in-studio video and podcast replay of Season 1. Season 2 underway and added weekly. Tweet us at TWVG Show or hashtag TWVG to be part of the program.